Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, it's time to go back to the base set, the very first set of Pokemon, and have a look at which the most expensive cards are. Now, bunch of caveats before we get going, because this is not as easy a list as a lot of the lists I try and do here. Firstly, I know that there are lots of other types of cards. So for the base set, we've got your first edition cards that have got the stamp on. We've got the shadowless cards, which don't have a shadow, the clue's in the name on that one. And then you got the fourth print with the different copyright years. We're not talking about any of them. We're doing a comparison here. So number one, first edition, is going to be the same as number one, unlimited. Unlimited is when none of the special stuff is going on. So we're doing a nice little comparison. And also, I'm going to give you figures. I'm going to give you numbers for the value of these cards. Bear in mind, these cards are very, 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 very old. So when we look at these, and I'm giving you an approximate price, that is going to vary wildly. I mean, I'd had a look at TCG Player in a 5-day span before I recorded this video, and Charizard sold from anywhere from $95 up to $325. There is a huge range here, depending on the condition of the card, etc. Please do bear that in mind as I'm going through these values. So before we get going with the top 10 list proper, let's give a shout out to the holos from the base set, which unfortunately didn't make the list. Including at the very bottom of the list, Hitmonchan, which is the best card in the set. All of these that didn't make it, you're going to be looking somewhere in the $15 to $20 range. We've also got Magneton. At the time, big deal, got a holo. Of course, it since has a new evolution in Magnezone, so Magneton's not getting the chase cards anymore. Ninetales, Poliwrath, which actually got a new alternate stage 2 at one point as well, and Nidoking. They are your 5 holos that for whatever reason don't make the list. Mostly here, it's just an issue of popularity. And it's a little bit weird to me, of course, because Ninetales is a very popular Pokemon. I'm a little bit confused why Ninetales doesn't make the list, but do bear in mind I'm putting these all at $15 to $20. I'm putting 9 and 10 on the list at $20, so some of these were pretty gosh darned close. But all of these, for whatever reason, didn't quite end up making the list. And like I say, Hitmonchan's the best card in the set. It was amazing. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, just never made it. So in at number 10 of an approximate value of $20, we've got Clefairy. And this is another weird situation because, of course, Clefairy is not the final evolution. When we got one set further down the line in Jungle, we'd get Clefable, which also was a holo, incidentally. Clefairy, not entirely sure why Clefairy got a holo other than it's cute. Of course, the old tale goes that Clefairy was at one point going to be the mascot of the Pokemon brand. But if we're not going to put Clefable in the set, although Clefable did exist at the time, why not give Clefairy a holo? Looking back, it's weird that it got a holo, but it did, and it comes in at number 10. Also had a really nice metronome attack for free energy, let you copy the defending Pokemon's attack. It was still pretty cool. That one could do a bit of fun. In at number 9, also $20, but generally being a little more expensive, we've got Chansey. And one of the things this shows us is that playability is not terribly important, because Chansey was a very playable card. 120 damage on a basic Pokemon at the time was gigantic. There were entire decks built around the fact that Chansey was very hard to KO. And then 4 energy, 80 damage. Chansey was good. There were decks built around Chansey, but that's not what really puts it at this place on the list. Of course, important to note, Chansey would later get an evolution, but it wasn't a Gen 1 kind of thing. In at number 8, we've got Gyarados, and Gyarados is here because Gyarados is a fairly popular Pokemon. And you've got to give a bit of love to Pokemon back in the base set. They basically went, hey, let's give a bunch of the Stage 2s and the popular Pokemon holos. That seems like a good idea. It was a good idea. And to be fair, if you could get enough energy on Gyarados, and there was a way we'll get there in a minute, yeah, Absolutely, Gyarados could do some damage, and 100 HP on a stage 1 at the time was very high, but it's fair to say Gyarados was, not a game-breaking card. In at number 7, we've got Mewtwo. And look, it's Mewtwo, alright? Mewtwo's great. People love Mewtwo. The original legendary Pokemon, the original big bad Pokemon, the strongest Pokemon, etc., etc. As a card, it was actually kind of alright. There is a really interesting deck that can be made around Mewtwo. If you just search on my channel for dumbest deck, I will try and link it in the description if I remember, but just search for dumbest Pokemon deck ever. There was a weird mulligan Mewtwo deck that didn't play any trainers, which wasn't great, but oh, it was fun, ladies and gentlemen. It was fun. There are still some people out there who buy these old cards to actually play and, play old formats. This was just a really stupid deck, and one that I appreciated very much indeed. In at number 6, we've got Zapdos, and this one is a little bit weird to me, of course, because Mewtwo is more popular than Zapdos. Just is. What is interesting, we would actually get another holo Zapdos just the following set in Fossil, which is kind of interesting. This Zapdos, it's got big numbers on, 4 energy, 100. That's pretty good for back in the base set. It was never actually viable. That's not the point, ladies and gentlemen. The point is, it was fun. Coming in at number 5, we've got ALAKAZAM, and this is another one of those big Stage 2 Pokemon. Now, Stage 2 80 really tells you how big Clefairy was in terms of HP, but it's had the really awesome Pokemon Power damage swap that let you move damage counters around your side of the field. CHANSEY worked very nicely with this, incidentally, and ALAKAZAM was very good for that reason. Nowadays, ALAKAZAM is weird because we don't have Kadabra cards, and that's a whole different story. But frankly, ALAKAZAM was a cool Stage 2 Psychic Pokemon that was really good in the video game, and apparently that was enough to bump it up the list. Now, the top 4, there are no surprises. If you think about it for a moment, you will be able to figure out the top 4 quite nicely. In at number 4, at around about $40, you've got Raichu. There may not have been a holo Pikachu card, because, you had Raichu, but Raichu worked very nicely indeed. It's the evolved Pikachu, it's super popular. As a card, not particularly good. Agility, 20 damage and could get immunity was nice, but for free energy, even back in the base set days, not good. But the fact of the matter is, what you have here is just evolved Pikachu on a holo card, and that'll do it, ladies and gentlemen. Which means that the top 3 are your first partner Pokemon, your starter Pokemon, and there is a big jump here. There is about $20 between Clefairy in 10th and Raichu in 4th, and then there's $40 between Raichu in 4th and VEnusaur in 3rd. But ever since this game came out, they were the big 3. They were the ones you really wanted to pull. VEnusaur, look, it's always been in 3rd place in popularity, and it is here as well. It actually has a really interesting Pokemon Power Energy trans, lets you move grass energy around your field, saw a bit of play. Was a vaguely playable card, but VEnusaur is a clear number 3. In at number 2, we see another fairly big jump, big-ish jump from $80 to $100. We've got Blastoise. Now, this was always it for me. When I was opening packs of cards, I wanted me a Blastoise. That was the one that really made it for me. Love me some Blastoise. And it's got the ability that lets you attach as much water energy to your water Pokemon during your turn as you like, which, make no mistake, is a pretty big deal. And what you end up with here is just a really cool card. It's Blastoise. It's got a really nice ability, but mostly, it's Blastoise. And in at number 1, I don't think I'm breaking any news to anyone when I tell you it's Charizard, and it's Charizard by a mile. There was a $20 gap between Clefairy in 10th and Raichu in 4th. There was a $60 gap between Raichu in 4th and Blastoise in 2nd. And there is a $150 gap between Blastoise in 2nd and Charizard in 1st. When I say $350, please know that that is a very, very, very rough number. $350, you're going to get a pretty nice copy of Charizard for that. You can get a beat-up copy for less than $100. And if it's a really nice copy, it may well be a bit more than this. $350 is a rough guide. Please take it as nothing more than a rough guide. But it's Charizard. When the base set came out, we all collectively decided that Charizard was it. Charizard was what everybody wanted. And that, over 20 years later is still reflected in the Pokemon TCG. Charizard is still the big boy. And when we get to big cards, big money cards, ones people really want, it tends to be Charizard. And this is where it all started. As a card, playability-wise, it made all your energy fire and could do 100 damage. It had big numbers printed on, which really helped. Did more damage than the other two, had more hit points than the other two. Really, though, and I'm sorry if this sounds a little bit simple, it's Charizard. And unless something drastic changes, it's probably always going to be Charizard. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. They are the 10 most expensive cards from the base set. It is worth pointing out that a lot of these were reprinted in base set 2, which you can see by the 2 logo on there. They are not the same and they are worth a fair bit less money. I am sorry. So yeah, first edition, Shadowless, 4th print worth more, base set 2 worth a bit less. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it's over to you guys. I want to know what you think. I want to know if you've opened any base set. I want to know which is your favourite. I want to know anything you want to tell me. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWarsy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.